Okay, so no more audiobooks for me. Today's review is going to be a challenge because I don't actually have a physical copy of the book to hold, which makes me uncomfortable. I will insert a picture, and it is of a book called Beautiful Ruins by Jess Walter. The book follows 4 different perspectives. One of the present day of a Hollywood movie producer's development assistant, Claire. Another in a small seaside town in Italy called Porto Vergogna. A third from the mind of a struggling novelist and up-and-coming film writer named Shane Wheeler in the present day. And the fourth of 2008 Pat Bender, who is my favorite character. This book opens in Italy in the 1960s with a man named Pasquale Torsi who sees this beautiful American woman arriving in his town on a boat. And the thing about this town, Porto Vergogna, is that no one really comes here. It's a small, tiny fishing village, and there's nothing, and there's no reason for tourism. There's no reason for anything really other than what it is. It's for fishing. The people that live there have always lived there, and they don't intend to leave, but there's nothing to do. If you want things to do, you go to another one of the other port towns, and people don't really visit. So it's a very large surprise to everyone when this American actress shows up. She's acting in the movie Cleopatra, which is being shot elsewhere in Italy, and it's quite the curiosity what she's doing in Porto Vergogna. And we find out that her name is Dee. Her name is Dee More, and we find out later what exactly she is doing in Porto Vergogna and why she has been sent there. And almost as soon as we find out, the story jumps to the present day, and we learn about Michael Dean, a Hollywood movie producer, and his assistant Claire, who are really looking for the next big thing. Michael is your very classic, kind of washed-up, has-been Hollywood type. His face is all plastically restructured, reconstructed to make him look a lot younger than he is, and he has all of these crazy, weird, kind of cultishly disgusting television shows that he's been able to produce since he hasn't been able to find a really good film piece to produce. And Claire is a character who I think has made some interesting and, in my opinion, bad choices. She seems to be set on this path to wanting to leave her job, and once she tries to follow this path, she tends to stay the course. Into Michael Dean and Claire's lives jumps Shane Wheeler, a man with a good idea for a film, and eventually they continue to blend their 2 stories together. And lastly, there's Pat, the most interesting character of them all, because his story is really the product of the lives of all of the other stories, and it was very interesting for me to see how he embodied all of the past intricacies and choices of the other characters. This is a beautiful contemporary adult novel. I think that Jess Walter has done a very good job at blending all of these stories together and making you want to continue to read the next one. There was never a point where I was listening where I was really sitting there thinking, oh, I don't want to hear about Pasquale again, or oh, I don't want to hear about Pat again, because they were all so tightly connected to each other in very subtle ways that were revealed toward the end in a larger manner, that you didn't mind hearing about the next one because it did seem like one flowing progressive story. Some of my favorite parts were definitely the descriptions of Italy. This book takes place heavily in Italy, not only in Porto Vergogna, but also in Rome and other areas in Florence. And I think that is really where some of the best writing lay for this novel. Sometimes I felt that Claire and Shane and Michael's characters were a little bit weaker just because they had more maybe a present tense to work in, and when you read in the present tense, you don't always identify with it. The thing I found most distracting about this book was that I listened to it as an audiobook. I think audiobooks are not for me because my mind tends to wander, and I think if I have the words in front of me and have a page to turn, it keeps me more focused, but just listening to someone can either A, put me to sleep, or B, cause me to think about other things. It gives me the opportunity to multitask, so if I'm cooking and listening to an audiobook, I'll focus more on the cooking, and then I'll find that I'll have missed pages or paragraphs or something. So the audiobook didn't really work out for me. I'm actually looking to buy a physical copy of this book so I can lend it to people, because if you are interested in a very beautiful contemporary story, I would certainly recommend it. There are many reviews of this book on Goodreads, I believe. I was scrolling through a few of them and discovered that a lot of people don't really feel that this is Jess Walter's strongest work and that he didn't really do a great job tying everything together. Having only read this piece of his canon, I can't really say anything to that. I can't really speak to it. But I personally found everything to flow pretty well, to tie together pretty well. The ending is brilliant. It's a brilliant cap of everything that's gone on in the whole book. I think it really rounds out the story, and I think there's a lot of hope there. I think this book is incredibly hopeful for all of the things that do happen to the characters in which they become disheartened or they become discouraged. This is a very hopeful book for all of them. And overall, I would give it about 4 out of 5 stars. If you're interested in beautiful ruins, if you're interested in Italy, there are a lot of beautiful descriptions of it in the 1960s. I would definitely check it out. Hope you're having lovely weeks and lovely lives, and I'll see you soon. Bye!